We are going to continue to watch Uber, and additionally here, we got to get to today's morning brief topic where we're checking in on what top leaders have to say on the bank sector at this year's Milken Institute Global Conference. There, Yahoo Finance had the chance to speak with Citi CEO Jane Fraser on the new wrinkle in the financial sector. Here's what she had to say on the recent collapse of First Republic.
There's a palpable sense of relief from everybody this morning because it's sad to see a bank fail. This was the last remaining main uncertainty of the small handful of banks that did not do a good job with asset liability management and also, were the victim of the steepest rate curve increase we've seen in 40 years. But nonetheless, it is a small handful. And as we look at the overall U.S. banking system, this is a strong, this is a safe, this is the envy of the world.
While Americans might not need to be worried about a cascade of bank failures, there are still several repercussions to be cautious of. Let's get to Yahoo Finance's Rick Newman with the details. Rick, what do we know?
Right. So we don't have to worry about bank failures anymore, according to the financial experts here. You heard what Jane Fraser, the Citi CEO, said there. But there's plenty else to worry about. So there's this credit crunch that is underway, and that is a result of these bank failures and what we've seen about vulnerabilities at banks. So there's a presumption that there are some further vulnerabilities, perhaps not to the level that we're going to see any more bank failures, but we're going to have a big credit crunch coming. We're also hearing a lot of worrisome talk about the debt ceiling standoff and the likelihood that markets have not priced in an ugly ending to that. And then another thing I'm kind of picking up behind the scenes is there seems to be a meaningful shift of capital out of the commercial banking system into what you might call the shadow banking system. And there's no problem with that in itself, except keep in mind, shadow banks, whether they're private equity firms, hedge funds, non-traditional lenders, they are not regulated the way traditional banks are. So if there are some problems down the road with some of those types of institutions hitting the skids, you're not going to see regulators come in and do bailouts. You're going to have to see the market absorb whatever happens. So these are the things that people are worried about here. But they're always worried about something here because, these people get paid to try to anticipate risks and, let's be honest, make money off of them.
Well, Rick, I got to say shadow banking, that term makes my antenna go up because it's another one of those that we haven't heard so much of since the financial crisis, right? And so when you're talking to people there about the risk sort of being transferred, how are they what's the concern level, I guess, about that happening?
I think the concern level is that you could see problems in the mid-tier level of the shadow banking system. These would be firms that most people have never heard of. So, at the top, shadow banking is firms like the Carlyle Group and BlackRock. Well-known firms that are very well capitalized and very well run. And I don't think anybody anticipates problems at those types of companies. There is some concern that when you go further down, there are going to be difficulties at mid-tier shadow banking firms, smaller private equity firms, for example, that might have some financing issues similar to what we've seen at these regional banks, which is that they're getting squeezed between rapidly rising interest rates and assets that they might have that are losing value on the market. There is no FDIC, really, for the shadow banking system. Of course, the Federal Reserve can intervene, and it certainly has done that in the past. But you're not likely to see that with regard to what we've seen with banks. It's politically unpopular, for one thing, because it looks like it's just a bailout for rich people. And there are other problems with it. So I'm not predicting, a wave of failures at some level of the shadow banking system. But that is just one of the things that there's a fair amount of scuttlebutt about here at the Milken Conference.
Yeah, love hearing the sort of behind the scenes conversations, what people are talking about there, Rick. Thanks a lot. Looking forward to your continuing coverage and our whole team coverage there. Thanks.